Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm CJ LeMaster, your host for the WLBT Plus Digital News Desk update for this Wednesday. Took me a second to realize what day of the week it was. Wednesday, February 4th. And we appreciate all of you joining us. Got a lot of stuff we want to talk about today. And the first thing was some new developments last night. That came out of the state legislature. New developments at the state capitol on the first major deadline day, which was yesterday, proved that the showdown will likely focus on education. Now, yesterday, the Senate Education Committee killed the large House bill with school choice measures. That was a bill endorsed by Governor Tate Reeves and Donald Trump. House Speaker Jason White slamming that decision. He said in part, and we'll show you what he had said. Basically, here we go. Whoa, that is way too. You know what? We're going to fix this live on the air because right now, folks, this is live. I say live television. It's live online. There we go. That's much better. So this is what House Speaker Jason White said after the bill failed. In part, the self-proclaimed deliberative body did not deliberate. To avoid conversation, debate, or thorough evaluation is a disservice to parents, students, and future generations of Mississippians. Now, today, Governor Tate Reeves directed much of his outrage over the bill's failure to Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann and a key senator, telling Mississippians on social media that the Senate Education Committee is the place where conservative priorities go to die. This is what he said. I'm quoting here from his Facebook page. I've never been more disappointed in elected officials than I am in Lieutenant Governor Hosemann and Senator Dennis DeBar. They killed a Republican legislative priority shared by conservatives all across this country, and they worked closely with the Democrats to do it. Even worse, they tried to do it in the dark and hide it from Mississippi conservatives on a deadline day. Of course, you'll expect more developments will come out now that that bill is dead. And of course, a lot of folks on both sides of the aisle with some pretty strong opinions. Our Courtney Ann Jackson will have the latest on that later today. Developing in Hinds County, a state appeals court has upheld the most serious charges against Beth Ann White. Now, you may remember she was convicted in a deadly drunk driving crash that claimed the lives of a mother and her infant son back in 2021. The court upheld White's conviction on 4 counts of aggravated DUI, but the court overturned the 4th offense DUI charge, saying it should not have been included in her original indictment from 2023. With the appeals court's ruling, the case will now return to Hinds County Circuit Court for further proceedings and, of course, sentencing. A Jackson mother is wondering if she'll ever get justice for her son. 2 murder suspects are now free. She says she's back at square one. Her son died in a mass shooting in downtown Jackson last March, hours after the Howell St. Patty's Parade had ended. Grand jury, of course, cleared 2 brothers, Michael and Marquavius McLeod, of murder and aggravated assault charges. 3 on Your Side's Quentin Smith speaks exclusively with the grieving mother, who's calling this a devastating setback.
For Stephanie George, the past 10 months without her son have been unbearable, and this latest roadblock just made things worse. Not only did she find out 2 suspects were cleared in her son's death, but she found out on the worst possible day.
To hear that they was let out on my son's birthday was, it was a slap in the face.
It was news Stephanie never thought she would hear as she continues fighting for her son, 21-year-old Cortez George. While she doesn't want an innocent person sitting behind bars, George is still disappointed. She says for nearly a year, investigators kept telling her they arrested the right suspects.
To be reassured by the detectives that these are the guys, they are sure that they got them and they have evidence. There's nobody else they're looking for. They led me on all this time.
The 21-year-old was killed in a deadly mass shooting. 6 others were injured. That shooting happened on March 22nd near the intersection of Pearl and Lamar Streets in downtown. This is the aftermath of that shooting. George doesn't know what led up to the violence, but she believes her son was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
One thing I do know, that whatever happened to Cortez wasn't something that had to do with him.
Police also arrested a third person in this case, 19-year-old Kanye Davis. However, George doesn't believe he killed her son. She says the two were close friends and actually went to the parade together.
They're saying that he started it. Okay, I understand that part. But for them to try to say that he had something to do with his death, I'm not buying it.
George says Cortez was getting his life together prior to him being killed. He graduated from Murrah High School, planned to enroll in a trade school, and he wanted to become a diesel mechanic. The mother now pleading for Capitol Police to continue investigating, saying her son's killer is still out on the streets.
I refuse to believe this is the end of the investigation. They need to go back out there, gather up whatever it is that they need, and find out who killed my son.
A grand jury cleared Michael and Marquavius McLeod because there was not enough evidence to charge them. When it comes to Kanye Davis, he is still behind bars, charged with murder and 7 counts of aggravated assault. Quentin Smith, 3 on your side.
Now, the city of Jackson is seeing its lowest homicide numbers in over a decade. 3 on your side sat down with Police Chief Tyree Jones to find out what's behind this significant decline. Now, we want to show you what we can tell you at this point from our own records. Back in 2021, at this time, 13 people had been killed in Jackson. Just last year, the city reported twice as many homicides as it's seeing now. Well, Chief Jones credits multiple factors for the reduction in killings. He points to partnerships with state and federal law enforcement, as well as strengthened relationships with Capitol Police and county officials. The chief also notes what experts nationwide are already observing. Violent crime across the country has been trending downward for several years.
I worked in homicide, for 12 years during my first tenure here at the police department. But I would also ask that not only do you compare your homicide numbers, but what about your aggravated assaults? Are these decreasing also, meaning where people were injured, they weren't fatally wounded? Are those numbers decreasing? And according to our data, and of course, we are data driven, not only are homicide numbers decreasing, but our other violent crimes, meaning our aggravated assaults, and some of our shootings are also decreasing.
Now, this marks the 5th consecutive year homicide numbers have been declining in Jackson. Chief Jones says most of these killings stem from a lack of conflict resolution. And of course, he hopes that the fewer rash decisions are being made. One more thing, too, we want to tell you. According to JPD's records, the majority of homicides occurred because disagreements between people who know each other escalate things too far. We want to show you right now on our website, WLBT.com, we have new information to share with you on our homicide tracker. I know we've talked about that a number of times here on the WLBT Plus Digital News Desk Update. So here's our homepage right now. You go up to the little hamburger here on the side, and I'm going to move this so you can actually, see it a little bit better. Go to crime and then Jackson homicides. So here's what we can tell you. A couple of cool, positive things that we have for the year. First off, you'll notice our current homicide count is 3. Right now, Jackson's not even in the top 5. In fact, it ranks 7th in the country in terms of its homicide rate, considering we have led the nation among major cities with our homicide rate for the last 4 years. This is definitely an improvement. Right now, we are at a 57% decrease from last year at this time. When that story aired, we had only we had 6 homicides. We actually had 7 by this time last year. So you think about it that way, we're much lower. But here's something new. We talked about those contributing factors and things that we've been able to get more information from JPD so that whenever you click on, we're going to look at some of these homicides from 2025. So when you look at how many we had last year and you click on, say, just a random killing here that Damio Milton, age 48, contributing factor unknown. But on a lot of these, you're actually going to see for the first time, if JPD knows what the contributing factor was, like here, an argument that led to the shooting. We're talking motive now. you're actually going to start to see those. We put the information for hundreds of cases in there so that folks can finally see. Now, in some cases, they're not listed because JPD doesn't have that information. But in a lot of these now, it'll tell you what the contributing factor was. So more information to kind of help you. And along with that, see, we're looking at 2025. If you scroll down on our website, you'll see a new graph that shows homicides by contributing factor. And you can see for 2025, the majority of them were arguments. Obviously, there are a number that are unknown here, but all that information out there to kind of help us make sense of what's happening here in the capital city, as right now, again, we are seeing a marked decrease in the number of homicides. If you look at just this little breakdown from years past, that bold line there is where we are now, and look at the previous 6 years. So yeah, again, this is a major change, and of course, the police department is hoping that that continues as we continue throughout the year. Now, we want to tell you about this winter storm. We have an update. The governor yesterday releasing information to the public, basically making it a formal major disaster declaration for multiple counties that were impacted. The governor taking action to do his part to try and help Mississippi communities affected. The request covers 3 different critical areas of assistance. First, individual assistance for residents who suffered losses. Second, disaster unemployment benefits for those who lost work because of the storm. And third, public assistance to help local governments recover. That includes funding specifically for debris removal. A complete list of affected counties has not yet been released, but officials say that the request could be amended as additional damage is reported and validated across the state. Meantime, in Holmes County, some residents there getting some relief as power begins to return after last week's devastating, or I should say the week before last's devastating ice storm. But again, to keep in mind here, they have been dealing with this for some time. In Holmes County, they have had more than 10 days without electricity. The recovery there, far from over. Families are now discovering extensive damage, including broken and frozen water lines, leaving many without service. Holmes County's, the time it took for that power to be restored was double the outage time of nearby counties.
I haven't heard anything from the supervisor, the mayor, nobody. I had to call and inquire about our church. They didn't call me. I called them. And then it was offered. It's been bad, but you'd think with having a supervisor or a mayor, somebody would at least come around.
County officials told 3 on Your Side the extended outage was because of fallen trees blocking many county roads. Crews had to clear those roads first before power crews could safely reach the areas and restore electricity. Several of you saying hello on this Wednesday. Melissa Price saying hi. Melissa, hope you're doing well. Pamela Rose offering prayer hands, and we appreciate that for the stories of talking about these homicides and these families that are dealing with so much loss, especially with this winter storm too. Britt, good afternoon, everyone from Gulfport. Well, you know what, Britt, everybody's now jealous because Gulfport is fun. It's nice. It's been much warmer than we've seen in other parts of the state here lately. So it's probably not a vacation, but it sure sounds like one. So yes, we're all jealous of you being in Gulfport. I hope you're having a wonderful afternoon. That's all the time we have for this edition of the WLBT Plus Digital News Desk Update for your Wednesday, February 4th. I'm CJ LeMaster, your lead investigative reporter and your host each and every day at 1 p.m. unless we have breaking news. We'll see you tomorrow at 1. Thanks again for watching.